Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Doctor's Notes podcast by Doc's Castle Media, a podcast I created to share the notes of one of my favorite reality shows ever, Big Brother USA. I'm your host, Doc, and I'm here to talk BP perspective from Doc's point of view. So here we go. So let's start where we left off in the last episode. So yesterday, we left off with Hisam as the veto winner. We saw that also by the end of the last episode that was ruffling a little bit of feathers with some people that was in his alliance, and it could possibly start a flip within the house. Not everyone supporting what he wants to do because he's on a serious power streak. I mentioned in the episode yesterday what I've been finding out on Twitter as far as what's been going on, and I want to also discuss how that is adjacent to what has actually happened and what CBS has decided to highlight in the eviction episode. So, was Twitter telling us the truth? And it looks like Twitter was. Twitter was telling us the house was splitting on Hisam because we see it unfolding in a lot of the gameplay between Suri, Izzy, Jared, and multiple other people in the house, because it seems like Hisam's reign of power has rubbed quite a bit of people the wrong way this week. So, Cameron's favor during the last episode, so it didn't seem as though Cameron needed to play as much when it comes to this eviction episode. He didn't really show that much gameplay at all really this week. I think Cameron actually was laying low and laying back, but I don't think that was a smart decision on his part, because everyone was been rallying to try to get votes for Riley. We all know that Riley needed at least 7 votes in order to stay in the house. So we know that there are people that really want to play this game with Riley. What we learned in this episode is actually where people stand when it comes to Riley and Cameron. I think there are a lot of people that was in the Handful Alliance with Riley that would rather work with Riley more than Cameron, actually. We saw that come from the mouths of America in this episode, and we saw that come from the mouth of Blue in this episode. Both of them seem willingly that they want to fight for Riley to stay in the game more than Cameron. We definitely know that Jared wants Riley to stay because that's his final 2. So we see him also talking some gameplay to try to see how he can fight to keep Riley there. I see that he had conversations with Suri and trying to convince Suri about what the benefit is in keeping Riley. And Suri sees those benefits. Suri sees that the conversation or the speech that Hisam had has caused people to still fight for Riley. I think that's what basically made Suri honestly pay attention to what Jag was saying. So she sees that Jags is really trying to fight hard for Riley. It was showing her by the fact that everyone is not behind Hisam and his decisions to rule the house with an iron fist. So in this episode, we literally see various people one by one, slowly and steadily. Actually, it was really working. A lot of people that are in Sari's side and she was very at least people that we seen her go to in this episode with Matt. He went to Matt discussing how he felt about Riley leaving. And honestly, Matt is the closest to Riley in the game right now. Matt, his Sari talked to Izzy, of course, and of course Izzy is gonna be behind Sari because she's just such a big fan. So she's behind it. Um, we even see talks between America, Corey, and Sari. So Sari really was in this episode rallying up the troops. Who the MVP of this episode? Obviously, it is Sari because Sari is playing that game. I see other people too. Jag, he was trying to fight. Riley, she's trying to fight, but obviously their fighting is not really hitting me that well when it comes to. I'm watching the replay. She don't even gotta play this hard. What's making her the MVP this week is she's trying to save someone she don't even necessarily have to save. I think it's the principle right now for Sari. Sari is literally just not feeling how Hisam is playing, and it's making her play hard. And it's making me vote for her to be the MVP player of the game right now or for this episode, because why? She don't even have to play this hard right now. She doesn't. I honestly feel like she should just a little, lay back a little bit because the house is revealing itself on its own. So she didn't really have to play, but I kind of like it because it's giving me entertainment. So anyway, she's the MVP of this episode. Someone who is absolutely not the MVP in this episode is Cameron. Cameron is not playing at all this week. He literally is laying low, which might be his best bet because everyone is targeting, or Hisam is really targeting Riley. So as long as Cameron stays quiet and to himself, I guess he assumes that he will be safe. But he's too quiet. There is so much chatter going on about trying to switch the vote around. Like, does he not feel scared? Is there not anyone going to him at all, basically letting him know what is happening? Because he is a little bit too comfortable to not be going to anyone. I have not heard any gameplay from him at all. The only thing that we hear him going to someone talking about is he literally in this episode goes to Jarrett to talk about how he thinks Felicia is related to Denzel Washington. Now, come on. Come on. Cameron thinks the facial expressions and the mannerisms that Felicia has is similar to Denzel Washington. And he goes to Jarrett and shares this information to Jarrett. Jarrett literally thought that Cameron was going to come to him telling and spilling the beans about him being related to Sari. But no, Cameron is way off. I don't know what he's thinking about in the house. Obviously, he's just paying a lot of attention to Felicia and thinking that she is related to Denzel Washington. Weird much. And I don't know, like, Jarrett's face when he was telling him that, Jarrett just looked like he wanted to be like, just bust out laughing. That's what he looked like. He wanted to bust out laughing because it's like, what? Where did you get that from? Honestly, where did you get that from? So he's definitely not the MVP player of the episode, because where is Cameron currently in the game? We don't know. To see that there are some people that are appearing in the episodes more. So a very significant portion of the show has to do with America and Corey in this episode, because America and Corey played a major part in opening the eyes up to some of the professors about a possible alliance forming between Hisam and people on the other side of the house within the handful. Hisam goes to America at some point in this episode to talk about how he would like to have more um, more connections or working with people that are able to win games, more physical competitions. Um, he's secretly building other alliance behind the professor back. And because America isn't really liking the way Hisam is playing in his power streak, she goes to Corey to share this information with Corey that Hisam is willing to work with more physical players on the other side of the house. When she takes that information to Corey sees it as a benefit for him to take that information that he's hearing from America to Izzy and Sari, because he knows that if he takes this information to them, that they'll be more willing to work with him. I think Corey sees more favor in working with Sari and Izzy in the Big Brother house than to work with the handful of lines. And I honestly think that he feels that way because he's seeing his alliance literally crumble in front of him in the demise of Hisam. I think that Corey is seeing that there is a stronger side. I think he sees that the younger side might be a little weaker. And I think Corey wants to work with Sari, but he also wants to try to find a way to get her out because he knows she's such a powerful player. Right now, I think Corey's in the in between where he wants to work with Sari, but also try to get her out. I think Izzy is just she's just worshiping Sari. Izzy is worshiping Sari. So there is a different gameplay between, I think, Corey and Izzy, but they're both plotting on the same person, Sari. So there's that. But I do think that Corey is making a good move by deciding to go to Izzy and Sari about the information that America gave him, because that is a one-up gameplay for him that puts him a little further than America. America she might not have such a close relationship with Sari and Izzy, but I don't think that America played her part really well. She's keeping that information within her alliance. I think people need to mingle. The people that are benefiting in this game are literally the people that are working both sides of the house. And the people that are working both sides of the house are it looks like it's Corey starting to be one of the people that might be working both sides of the house. And we know for a fact that Jared is working both sides of the house. But I'm definitely starting to notice Corey's gameplay. He's someone that I want to watch later, that he could possibly get an MVP player award from on the Doctor's Note podcast, just because of what I'm currently starting to see that he's doing. One person that I'm noticing that is not playing a good game though is Bowie Jane. I think Bowie Jane is flowing too hard. Like, she is an ultimate floater right now. I think she thinks she's playing both sides of the house, or she knows she's staying low enough not to be on the radar when it comes to it just being a threat. But she is floating so much and not playing the game as much that it's coming off as it's coming off as nonchalant. And I think it's coming off nonchalant to some of the players in the house as well, because Sari even mentioned in her diary room about her not coming to Bowie Jane about and Bowie Jane is in the Bye Bye Bitches. So she didn't go to Bowie Jane about a plan to possibly switch the vote from Riley to Cameron. And that is causing some questions for me. Like, if Sari doesn't feel comfortable sharing that information because she feels as though that Billy is that nonchalant. Is Bowie Jane even playing the game? Like, does anybody else see that? I don't think people see Bowie Jane as a competitor in the game right now. If you're not even trying to save, not save. If you're not going to share the information with your own alliance member, what's going on? Cerise still told Nicole, and Nicole is also floating, but I think Nicole is she might be actually talking gameplay that we don't see at all because CBS isn't sharing Nicole's perspective as much. Just like they're not showing Bowie Jane, but Bowie Jane might not be talking any game at all. She even went to the nether region that could also affect her gameplay as well, because if someone's not in the room or not there, you can't talk strategy. So I don't know how long of a portion of the day or the week that Bowie Jane has been missing when they were going through deciding whether to keep Riley or Cameron, but that is affecting her game, her being so nonchalant. But it's not affecting her in a way that it is not keeping her safe. So at the end of the day, she's still safe. She's not even a threat. She's still floating in the house. And I just hope that she doesn't be so nonchalant in the game that when it comes time for her to play, that she can't stack up and play. She'll just automatically. We don't even know if she was in on the plan at all. All I know is that majority of the people caught wind of what was happening about the switch in the house. But this episode, when it finally comes down to eviction, did it go through? No. Hisam still ruled the house with an iron fist without knowing. People were trying to switch up on him. No, I don't think anyone came to him with that type of information and leeway that he might want to be worried about the fact that he is too powerful. Like, no one's going to him. So we leave the game with Riley being evicted 13-0, a unanimous vote. And basically Hisam still thinking that he is a strong person or a strong leader in the house at the moment. When you got people whispering behind his back, he's being a little phony right now. I'm interested in seeing the next HOH win and how that will affect Hisam's games next week, because he is ineligible to play for head of household in the competition. We know that he won't be next week's head of household. But who is, and will that person gun for Hisam? Because he has made himself a threat this week alone, winning all these competitions and talking the way that he is talking when it comes to trying to get Riley out. So Riley leaves. Riley is evicted from the house, and she goes to have her interview with Julie. She reveals the Julie and Jared reveal, and Riley and I don't think it's ever going to guess it. Because if they don't guess it inside of the house, like, they're not going to guess it by the time they have this interview with Julie. But either way, once it was revealed to Riley, and it doesn't seem like it's bad when people are hearing that they are related right now. Like, it seems like people are just like, oh wow, it's interesting to see how they go, and they realize how they're playing a good game a little bit, because they see that they are playing two sides of the house. That's what I see that Kristen realized, and I think Riley is realizing that too in her interview. HOH competition started immediately after the episode, so we didn't even get the chance to really see what they did. If this was and I think it was an endurance comp when they showed us like a little a snippet of what the game looked like before the episode went off. So it might be an endurance episode, an endurance competition. Not sure what universe it comes from, but I'm assuming it might be the Scramble universe. But we'll see. But the HOH competition started immediately after the episode, so we will learn who the winner of that HOH competition is on Sunday, actually. I actually know now from Twitter, but I don't want to share that information on this episode because that's literally the only information that I have. It's not nothing else that I can give you that could make your ears peak like, ooh, this is a possibility that can happen, because I would rather have more information before I drop the HOH name. So if you want to know who the HOH is now, y'all can go to any other BB blog site to figure out that. But at the moment, we'll figure that out after Sunday's episode. But in this podcast episode, what we discussed today was basically Hisam's Hisam's win, and him being the rule in mostly this episode. We talked about Riley and her exit. We also talked about new people appearing in the episode that we don't normally see in episodes lately. But America and Corey, shout out to y'all. Finally get to see y'all in the show. And Nicole, even though she was in there for a second. But, thank goodness they throw some other people that are in the house in the episode. We're questioning Bowie James. Bowie James seems to be in every episode, but at the same time, not really a significant person in episode at all. And we learned that our new MVP player for this episode is back on Suri. So for the second time, Suri is MVP player for the Doctor's Notes podcast. Shout outs to her. Does any of this have to do with what we feel will happen in Sunday's episode? I'm not sure. I feel like when we go through these eviction episodes, we're just left at a blank slate for the next week, because until we find out who wins the HOH competition. But I hate when they do this, because we're literally left from Thursday all the way up to Sunday not really knowing where we are if we don't know the winner of the HOH competition. So here we are, just waiting and waiting and waiting. But those days will go fast, and as long as I continue to be on Twitter, I'll be up to date with stuff anyway. Like the Twitter, basically live feeds is a whole completely different show than the CBS Big Brother episode. So if you're just like me, you're hungry for more information, go ahead and stalk Twitter, stalk YouTube, and whatever. But that was that. I enjoyed this episode. This was a good one again, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning into the Doctor's Notes podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you found value in what you heard today, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. For more updates and Doc's Castle content, follow me on my social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Doc's Castle. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you'd like to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out to me via email at docscastlemediainfo@gmail.com. Remember, your support means the world to me, and I'm grateful to have you as a listener. But until next time, peace out.